Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to what is now one of the last talks on karma in this series on the 4 ways of transforming the mind. Today, it's about the actual power of karma. Now that we've considered some of the various aspects of physical karma, speech karma, mind karma, meditation karma. Now, in general, it's about the power of karma itself. To repeat a point which has been made before, but that's vital, it's not as though karma is some extra thing that we carry, like a bag that you carry. That there's us, and somewhere in all of that there is karma. Karma is the story of who we are. It's everything. It's everything. It's about who we are now and what we are doing. Doing with this life. Doing to ourselves. Doing to each other. And in particular, through all of that, what we are doing to this stream of consciousness that we are. And although the Buddha points out so truly that we have no lasting self, no fixed soul, what we are is a stream of consciousness, and this will go on and on and on, life after life, until we are free, until we are Buddha. So it's what we are doing to that, how we are imprinting it. This is what we are looking at. Karma is about the causal patterns in this stream of existence, how what happens at one moment in time contributes to the shaping of what will happen in future moments of time. So we'll look at 3 or 4 key aspects of the power of karma. And the first one is that it has the power to survive death. And this is so important to think about. I think in terms of Buddhist practice, the more this is understood, the more your practice will evolve and will take you to a point where very deep things can click in. Because remember, these 4 ways of changing the mind are there so that our mind becomes a suitable ground, a terrain, where the deeper truths can come to life. And this key point is about karma, is really the name given to those causal processes or to those imprints in our being that can survive death. And it's something that people don't think about a lot, and they should deep think, long think, until the amazing implications of this point come across. If you're Buddhist, then you probably believe in reincarnation. It's a central theme. Karma, cause and effect, past lives, future lives. So many teachers say it's the heart of the Buddha's teaching. But then have you thought about what that means? Reincarnation, somebody dies, and then there is some ongoing reality. And there is rebirth. Thinking about it should be easy, because even though we can't see what happens in between death and birth, we can certainly witness people dying, and we can certainly witness babies being born and growing up. And it's so stunningly obvious. Look at somebody as they are leaving this life. They have language. They can express themselves. They have so much information that they can talk about with others that really contributes so much to the richness of their personality, their life's experience, the way they've processed all of that, condensed it, can express it to other people, and so on. It's a whole person. And the suffering of death is not just the physical suffering of this body coming to its end. The real suffering of death, as we'll see in the next lot of teachings about dukkha, about suffering, is that this whole story that we are will come to its end. So if we think about somebody going into the process of death with their memories, their ability to speak and express and so on, and then we think about coming out the other end, assuming they are reborn human, as babies. Can babies speak? Of course not. The power of language has been lost. According to the Karma teachings, we think that if somebody has been familiar with a language in a past life, such as English or French, one will learn it again in the next life more easily than other languages. There's a propensity there, a proximity, something's there. That's what survives death. But the language itself has gone. I don't think anyone has yet come across a baby in a maternity ward who pops out and starts talking with the nurses or with the mother, saying, "Oh my word, that's 9 months I've been waiting to get back online. Check out this amniotic fluid thing." Of course not. Not only that, so much data has been lost. In the last 30 years, a lot of research has been done by the University of Virginia into reincarnation stories among children. Thousands of children interviewed. And a good percentage, between 25 and 30, I think, have past life stories. But these aren't detailed past life memories. It's not like when we're at the end of life and we can look back and there's a rich landscape of so many things that we could talk about and that we remember. Something survives. A few strong memories, people who were very, very present, places that were very, very present in the past life, at best. Language, information, memories, so much goes at death because it is the body that dies. And that information is stored in what is so poetically called this 1,000-petaled lotus. The brain is like a hard drive. And we see while we're alive, if somebody's brain is damaged by an accident or by a stroke, the ability to speak, certain parts of memory and so on are damaged. This is all explained much more fully in the teachings that back up tantric practice, usually what are called the secret teachings, about this profound body-mind relationship that starts at conception and that carries on through to death. But today we are concerned with karma. And this is the key point. Although so much is lost at death. So much. So much. Really, that life story, that person comes to an end. And then there'll be a new life, a new person, and a new story, a new personality will develop, and the somethings that do survive death, the power of karma, will be vital in shaping that new story. But it will be a new person. It won't be the old person come back. It's not Hollywood. It's not Ken 2, Ken 3, the movie. Not at all. When we die, this personality, this life, everything we've accumulated, like me in my life, I don't want to die. I don't want to lose all these memories, all this knowledge, everything that's developed. I'm so happy with it. But I'll have to. It will go. It will go, for sure. And I'll have to start all over again. So the power of karma, in the first place, is the power to take us to that next birth, to the parents who will be the new mother and father, to the place which will be the new place where we grow up, to the brothers and sisters we might have in the family who will become a big part of that next life, depending. And then we'll go to school, get some kind of education. We have to go back through all of that to learn the names of things, to acquire knowledge all over again. So if we had a closeness to science before, maybe we'll find science easier. A closeness to art or music before, maybe we'll take to that like a duck to water. But we're not just going to sit down at a piano and play it like we could play it just before we died. There's so much to think about here. It's not straightforward. It's not how people might simplistically think about reincarnation. On the outside, it's a new world, and on the inside, there's a kind of amnesia. It's wonderful that in this life we have cases of amnesia. These can help us understand how you have the same continuity. But then a lot's been lost, and somehow one has to put together the pieces that have remained and build a new life. So karma is whatever can survive death. It gives us the new home, the new parents, the new siblings, and then we'll grow up. And once we leave home, and that first 20 years or whatever it is of life is over, and we go off independently, and so much coloured by what we depended on until that point, the mind of our mother, father, the culture, the country, the schooling, all of that, imprinted into our young, receptive minds. But then we meet our new karma, we go off into independence, not interdependence, independence. And then we meet the people we fall in love with, we'll meet the fortune we had from past life, wealth or poverty, fame or infamy, and so on, and so on. Gradually, if they're in that world, the people from other lives will come back as a treasure, as a problem, whatever it is. So karma has two powers, two areas of powers that survive death. One is a universal power. It shapes the universe. That is mainly our body and our speech karma, because they involve other people. They involve us and the world we live in, the environment. It's about mainly daytime activity, where we're a tiny part of a huge universe, and we interact with it. We benefit it or we harm it. So that power in the very fabric of everything, that power of karma, comes back to us as circumstances, as people, as richness or poverty, as opportunities or lack of opportunities, and so on. It's coming from the outside. Body and speech karma. Doesn't die with us at death. It's kind of invested in the universe, and it comes back to us. The mind karma is inside. It really is what feels like us, me. Although the experience coming from the outside is also very personal and subjective too, but anyway. The mind karma is about how we read and experience all of that that's happening to us. And of course, Dharma shows us how to have a very positive, a very useful way of relating to the good news and the bad news. Whatever's coming from the outside can become grist to the mill, raw material for marvelous Dharma work, mind work, if we know how. For most people, it's either good fortune or bad fortune. For Dharma people, it's all good fortune. We know what to do with it. We're skillful. So we have these two areas of what's happening to us in the next life, created by our past life karma, coming from the outside, and then how we are relating to that from the inside. All of it's karma. Mainly body and speech karma coming from back to us from the outside. Mainly mind karma enriching us or impoverishing us from the inside. I saw a bit from a film the other day, not a terrific TV series, called 12 Monkeys. It's a guy who comes back from the future to find out where a destructive virus started. And at one point in the film, he gets very worked up. He says, "Don't you understand? Can't you get it? You're all already dead." Because where he comes from in the future, the people he's talking to have long since died, including himself. Long story. It really struck me, this kind of view of things. Who we are now is, of course, all we have. It's very vivid for us. But it will go, it will become history. We'll have forgotten about it completely. Certainly in the next life and the life after, we probably won't remember a single thing. But the results of what we're doing now, that's what we call karma. They survive death, and they will shape everything we are experiencing and the way we're experiencing in it. So if we kind of extrapolate from that strange film experience, and we think, and I often say this in courses to my friends who come, that house you broke your back for 3 lifetimes ago, can you even remember it? That garden you worked so hard to make beautiful, you can't even remember a single thing that grew in it. The people you loved and whose attitude towards you, whose words towards you, the way they looked at you, counted so much, broke your heart, made you feel happy. You can't even remember their faces. It's the truth in this life. When I look back to my girlfriends 50 years ago, it's barely 1 or 2 snapshots that remain. I know at the time I loved them so much. They're gone. So it will be like that and carry on like that, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. That's the power of karma. It survives death. Survives death. And that's why the Buddha gave it so much importance, because we don't get that. We see a baby, it looks like a brand new start. Now, if I can share personal experience, I've lived long enough and I meet a lot of people in my life, and there are quite a few that I've seen die, and I'm pretty sure I've seen their reincarnations. It's a whole new life, but bit by bit you see that old stuff coming back in, and I can't describe it, but it doesn't come as a surprise when this happens to them, or when they make this choice or that choice, and they have these little things in their personality so typical of before, but they're not at all that same person come back. It's a brand new life, and it's like the old life has been thrown up in the air like a million pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, and some of those have come back down and made new life. It's not the old person coming back, but it's the ongoing power of whatever can survive death that contributes to make a new life and a new opportunity. That is the power of karma, and it's very powerful once we understand it and think about the teachings on karma that I've tried to share with you. Why people are to us the way they are, why life is to us the way it is, the way it presents itself to us. That's what we mean by karma. No one else has your experience, no one else has my experience. The way this world is happening to each of us is unique. That is the power of karma. No one else has your way of experiencing, reading what's happening to you. And no one else has the power of reading, experiencing what I'm experiencing right now and day after day. It's unique. This is the power of karma. And there are a few key points about that power. And one of them, in terms of power, is that it is not an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, mathematically straightforward and linear. Because the main thing in the creation of karma is the power of the mind present along with the action. So it says big can come out of small and small can come out of big. Let's take an example. Somebody may do what seems from the outside, seen through other eyes, a big thing. Classically, very often our teachers say you may do these famous 100,000 prostrations. Oh, it looks like a very great positive karma, and let's hope it is. But if you're doing that, simply manic about the numbers, it's no more than physical exercise. If you're doing it in competition with somebody else, then it's not even good karma, it's probably more negative karma. Helpful for your body, but very questionable. In the end, 100,000 prostrations may be just a piddling little karma, not very much at all. Of course, if you do them with the right mind, the right attitude, every prostration can be a wonderful taking of refuge, gesture of compassion, because you prostrate for everyone with you, and devotion, because you really are devoted to what you're taking refuge in. Then every prostration is a wonderful karma. It depends on your mind. So a big action like that could give small results. And a tiny action, very often our teachers say even you give somebody a cup of tea, which from the outside looks nothing, goes by unnoticed. It's not like doing 100,000 prostrations in a shrine room. You just pass somebody a cup of tea. But if in that moment your mind is deep, you feel the Buddha nature inside all of us, you're wishing in your heart to be able to give everything to every sentient being that they could ever need, and that it would be delicious and satisfying, and so on. A mind that's very tender, very powerful, very open, very loving, very wise, very quiet. That simple action of the cup of tea could have enormous consequences. And Buddha said, even if somebody casts a flower in the sky, thinking of enlightenment, with a strong enough mind, that could be enough to get you a precious human existence. So big can come from small, small can come from big. And all of that, as always with karma, is self-determining. We've seen many times karma is not somebody outside judging, allocating consequences. It's the power of the moment itself, the power of your mind in the moment when you make the karma that determines how big the outcome will be. So we can see the quantity. Another thing is that with time, it's not the karma perishes all by itself. It doesn't wear away because it's not material. Material things rot and decay. Karma is not like that. So it's said that even if it's hundreds of lives later, that power of the karma is still there, as fresh as the day it was made. If it's waited 100 years, it's maybe because it's been consistently pushed to the back of the karma queue by newer karmas, but at one point or another, it has to come up. So karma does not fade away. Again, it can be removed if it's a harmful karma by purification, but all by itself, it won't just with time wear out. And a point that's vital to the teachings of karma is that it always comes back to its doer. It would never go to anybody else. That's part of its power, this power to belong to cling to the doer, even though, and this is the amazing point, even though the new person in the new life isn't that personality. We kind of pick up the karma of the person we were, who was destroyed by death, but nevertheless, whatever survives death as karma in the consciousness is going to shape that new life. And learning to accept that, understand it, work with it, is so, so important. It's part of this understanding of the power of karma. And this power of karma is happening every moment. Just now, as I'm speaking, as you're listening, we're making this karma of Dharma teaching. Every moment is like a hand on a potter's wheel, shaping the future. Every moment of what's happening to us is the ripening of what has been made in past lives. Understanding the power of karma is not an intellectual thing. It's a question of feeling it, feeling the living reality of it, just like a gardener feels the reality of the soil, its dryness, its dampness, knows each plant and how it grows, and like an artist knows their materials and how to use them, like a musician knows the instrument. And we need to know and feel and be aware of the power of karma. That's the whole point of these teachings. Then we can manage our existences wonderfully and will be of great help to each other. I think time to stop today. I wish you, as always, very well. I think we've almost finished these teachings on karma, and our next step will be to consider existence itself and its happiness and its sufferings and how they go together. Take good care. Speak with you again very, very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.